Hello, everybody, and
How's it
thank
going?
you for joining us for episode 3 of the Ashen Forge. Today, you can see our title, Community Love in Action. We are discussing, I guess, Kickstarter, the success, the everything about it, the stretch goals, kind of what we like, what we look forward to, what could be better, I guess. I am joined, of course, by Diggs and the legendary Neurotoxin. Hello, how y'all doing?
Hello, how you doing?
How are you, Diggs?
I'm great.
Great, great, perfect. We're all great. I hope everyone can hear. This is only my second time doing this, so I have screens everywhere. I have no clue if I've done it correctly.
It sounds right. I'm kind of monitoring. I'm gonna mute the second stream there.
Um,
All right.
Anyways, I guess just real quick. So, Ashes of Creation, the top MMORPG Kickstarter ever, 3.2 million, well, a little above that, but somewhere around there. Just under 20,000 backers, which actually is not the largest number of backers, but they had the most money. I think Camelot Unchained. I have all this somewhere. I forget what it was. Has the most, but reached pretty much all their stretch goals and sit actually number 7 in games all time, video games all time.
On Kickstarter, yeah.
Correct. And so extremely successful. I don't know that we need to talk much about why. I think everyone can kind of get to why. But, well, I'll say one thing, is the lifetime sub is the big winner. So anyone watching, if you have a chance, because they're going to continue it in through June, right? I guess an equivalent or so. Once something about they have to get backers numbers from Kickstarter, and then they can somehow put that into their website and go from there. But if they're going to let upgrades happen, upgrade to the lifetime sub if you have the money and you think you're going to pay, because it really works out. But that took like 1.2 million of their total. It was like 40% came from just that one tier, which was like a $400 to $500 tier, which most people don't spend that much money. But that just tells you the power of the lifetime sub. Anyways,
Yeah, and I did not get the lifetime sub, and I keep thinking, well, I'm thinking about upgrading, but I just don't know if it's going to actually launch. I don't know if I want to
You
pay that
know,
and then not
it's
have it launch.
for me. It's like just looking at the value of things, like the amount for $1,000 right now versus if that's drawn out over what yearly subscriptions for 10 years as inflation and everything kicks in. Yeah, I'm probably coming about the same, and I don't really mind supporting them over time instead of in one big lump sum at the front. You know, if it doesn't succeed, they're going to give us refunds. I'd rather wait for $50 back than $1,000 back. But if it does succeed, then I'm totally fine just paying it out over time. It's totally
Yeah.
cool. If I don't play it anymore, if I'm like working on some other thing, or I'm on the team, and they've got me hooked up with a subscription because I'm on the team, then yeah, I wouldn't have to worry about it at that point.
it's worth
But
it. I think I showed you guys the data on that too. If you took from vanilla WoW and you paid all the way through Legion, that's not counting after Legion release, but just up to Legion, it was somewhere above $2,000. That's assuming you just paid monthly and didn't get that discount for every 6 months. But
yeah,
so $400 and $2,000. Of course, that's 10 years of being, 10, 12 years of game. Who knows if Ashes of Creation lasts that long? But it's worth it if it lasts just 33 months.
Well, but I'm looking for the game that is going to keep me playing it for 10 years and not playing anything else. So if I'm
this
not
could be
paying
that.
$100 or $200 for the game that I hope is going to launch and doesn't launch, then I'm kind of saving some money.
That's where they get you, though, right? You got to do it now. You aren't going to have the
No,
option later.
I would rather back them for 10 years with $15 a month than to be paying $100 or $200 for the next game that says it's going to do what I want it to do but never launch. So we'll just see.
Well, it's a
Oh,
smart
and
move.
the grand total for 137 months plus the expansions was $2,055.
Yeah. So I mean,
So
it works out, but
yeah,
And for them, it's
But
really not that big of a deal, right? Because I think it was only like 1,400 people. I mean, when you're trying to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of players in your game, who cares if 1 or 2,000 people get a lifetime sub?
yeah. Plus, I mean, I'm looking at it logistically. You are probably actually getting about equivalent value relative to 12 years like WoW has been running for the $1,000 now. For like what $1,000 was in 2004 to what it is in 2016, you know, it's times have changed.
Yeah.
Inflation's really fast now. The number is big.
So I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the actual numbers and everything. I wanted to really focus on the development. I mean, that's what we like to talk about, right? So there were a lot of, things within the tiers, a lot of the stretch goals were kind of interesting. So I guess, my biggest question to both of you is sort of, what do you, out of all of this, it could be any of it, stretch goals, the end of, I guess stretch goals are the big part because they don't really talk about much of the development within the tiers. But so I guess out of the stretch goals, I have a feeling I already know, Diggs, what you probably look forward to, although I don't know for sure. Is there anything out of this that you are happy they hit, that you look forward to seeing?
Pretty much everything except for the stock exchange. I wouldn't have minded if we didn't hit that.
So you're not going to be investing in guilds.
Well, we get more metrics than just that, so I'm
Yeah.
hoping that I'll be interested in some of the analytics that come from it that's not related to guilds. But and so one of the things that I'm hoping we'll be able to see and track is check to see how much PvP is going on per server, so I can choose the server with the lowest amount of PvP combat. And we can make that a de facto PvE server. Yeah, probably the biggest thing that I like is the Underrealm.
I knew you were going to say
and
that.
going along with that, the race, Underrealm race, to go along with that. Mainly because that's more for me to explore, and that's more a different culture. And both of those are my thing: culture and exploration.
And despite the drawing that we get for them, I'm hoping they're not like automatically evil or something. Because Diggs, I know you've got beef with that.
Yeah, and
we talked about this.
Yeah, we aren't supposed to have evil in, so they might be corrupted, and we'll have to see what that means. But yeah, we're not supposed to have automatic evil, kind of like EverQuest Next.
Yeah. It's still the thing I've been tossing back and forth. Do I do Bard Summoner or Summoner Bard? But either way, I'm probably going to play Underrealm and definitely be more of a traveler than an established individual.
Mm-hmm.
Try to find like a guild that's widespread where I can kind of jump from place to place to place and sing about my travels along the way. And, have some fun with it, get into it, have it become part of the lore of the game. At least on the server that I'm on, because that's kind of how it's going to happen anyway. That's, the things you do that have consequences.
Have they actually said as far as the expanse and the depth of the Underrealm? Like, is it just going to be a very basic layer, have they said yet? Or is it going to be like EverQuest Next, where you can go down and down and down?
No, it's not actually connected to the overworld, is what they've said. I believe that it's a completely separate. You wouldn't like dig down to get to the Underrealm and then like have a 1-for-1 upper and lower layer sort of thing.
Well, there's not a voxels, so
that too.
Well,
we're not going to be able to do that.
But you know what I mean. More than just one simple layer.
Yeah. I think it's and I wonder what they're actually going to do with the Underrealm. That could be a fun way to add like procedural dungeon instances or something, but we'll see.
Because what I hope
there's enough space to build a metropolis, so they have nodes and all that. So
I just hope that it's entirely, like anywhere you're above ground, maybe you can be underground. I mean, that
would be nice.
I don't know how much effort and time will go into that. Right. So I assume, Noah, you mentioned the the Underrealm, is that your kind of, I guess, out of what we have so far, looking forward to, or?
Me or Diggs?
Well, you.
Oh, I mean that's one thing for me. I just like the idea that anybody who backed and threw in like, even the single dollar or whatever is getting a piece of the all backers receive stuff. I believe like the fact that everybody who put in is getting that stuff. I thought that was a really cool, really nice touch, and it's definitely systems that systems and things that they didn't have to put in, and the idea that they're putting it in with any amount of exclusivity, I don't know about that. Like kittens and puppies, sure, those will be two things exclusive to backers, but I'm sure they'll have other pets too. So it's not like they're inventing the code for pets just for the backers. All the effects and all the other stuff. That's a nice touch. I really like. It's really the quality of life, the treatment, and the way that it's set up, that it really encourages you to want to like tell everybody, hey, I'm gonna play this game, it's gonna be awesome. You get your buddies in too, get their buddies in too. We'll see what happens with it. But the fact that it actually hit the 16,000 backers stretch goal, that's pretty impressive. I was watching it pretty regularly, watching how it was building, where it was ending up financially, and I had said from the start it was going to break 3 million. I was a little worried at some points, but I knew how it was. It gets in that last week and just way up.
Well, and we just missed 20,000 backers, so it was like 19 something.
19,576.
Well, yeah. You always expect it to pick up at the end, but I think that just goes to their overall. I don't know who was now. I don't know his background. As Steven was he in advertise? I forget what exactly he was in, because basically the advertising they did, promoting the Kickstarter through Twitch and live stream. I mean, that was really what kept people interested and probably pulled more and more people in.
Well, remember if any of the people were working at SOE when Omid was doing the thing, his influence definitely rubs off on people. He does a good job, not just with the work he does, but teaching everyone around him how he does the work so that they can do it too. So I imagine a lot of that, training and that effort rubbed off, and they saw how to build a hype train and were able to repeat it quite successfully here.
Yeah, they're community managers from Daybreak,
mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Of course, they were active in Discord, although I kind of hate Discord anymore. Well, I mean, how many? I think they had like 15,000 users in there, and it's a wall of text. I mean, how can you even know what people are talking about? You mentioned kittens and puppies, so there are a few things that I feel like are kind of throwaways. Now I know you can't have like big grand things for every stretch goal or whatever, but I mean, kittens and puppies, really. I mean,
the backer goal. Thank you for backing. It's not a stretch goal.
They were already going to have kittens and puppies.
No,
in this
but it's
game.
Right. But it's not a stretch goal. It was a backer goal.
But still,
This is the thank you for backing.
But still, the other one was the, and you're going to say it was a backer again, but it's the die set. Who cares about dies? I mean,
I do.
Really?
Yeah,
You're an explorer.
I rock the purple and green. You should know this.
You better hope they put it in there.
They better hope they put it. I'm sure they put it in there. I'm sure at least one of them plays Vanu Sovereignty.
I actually look forward to the whole stock exchange thing. I think that's actually very interesting. The idea of allowing investment within the game, within people and guilds, that sounds just very, because it adds a whole new level of wanting someone to succeed, but trying to maybe either do it. I don't know. It just adds a whole lot of levels that you don't find anywhere else. Now, there's been a lot. I've read a lot of research. I think at EverQuest was they've actually, and some games have had accountants and economists and people look at economies, but to actually implement it like this is just incredibly interesting. And I don't know how it's going to work, but to invest in a guild just sounds very interesting.
I like the idea. I mean, it's it definitely opens up a lot more promise in the fact that it's actually built-in systems rather than something that you have to arrange with people. That's a really cool feature, because you have to imagine some of the things that people are doing are wheeling and dealing that people are already going to do, and probably taking some cues from EVE Online for that even. So to that extent, I think the way that they're going to go with like a more advanced economy, it really opens up the doors for a lot more things, and I think really encourages the players to become a lot more embedded and entrenched in the goings on of the server itself and the actual game.
I mean, I'm just waiting for the first con man to find his way into the game. Come invest in my guild. We're the best. I'm the greatest. What are the other words?
Oh.
Bigly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll see that.
And then as soon as they reach a certain, I'm taking all the money, I'm gone.
Oh yeah, we're gonna see that, and they will be hunted.
Well, even investing in nodes, because we all would have, obviously without it, we would still have a personal, emotional investment, right? I've grew this node, I want it to keep going, but to actually have money invested in it, it's just, there's so many interesting ways it could go. That I was really happy that got reached. Anyways.
Yeah, and I think I would invest in like the Thieves Guild or the Scholars Academy instead of a player guild. But
that too, yeah, right. And I wonder how that will work, though. I mean, because you obviously, to invest, you have to be able to get something out of it. So how do they actually give you back? I mean, how do they tally all that? And how does that exactly work?
Like I said last episode, for me, transport infrastructure is like, that's where the money is at. That's where like that big mobster money is at.
Yeah.
Showtime.
The other, besides that, the other thing that for me, anyways, that I thought was really, that I look forward to. Well, there's a couple. You mentioned the social organizations. I think that's a big one, too. Because I'm like you. Well, I'm not 100% like you, Diggs, but in that I'm not going to go out necessarily all the time looking for PvP. So being able to add in another way to play the game or another way to spend time sounds very good to me, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, so I'm not, the three examples they gave were Thieves Guild, Scholars Academy, and Trading Company. I'm not super interested in the Trading Company, but I'm hoping there's more than just those three. Sure. There's got to be some kind of military version, I would think. I think the temple should probably be connected. I don't know if that's going to be social, if there will be a social temple progression pathway that is separate from the religion progression pathway, or if the religion is basically the same thing as the Thieves Guild or the Scholars Academy. But yeah, hopefully we'll see several different avenues for social progression, and I'm hoping that also ties into like political ways, diplomatic ways to resolve issues. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Well, I could see it being like something that you do on top of a membership. You're already a member of the Thieves Guild. That gives you these certain, things. You can use their fence for stolen goods, etc. The things where they're linked in, you have access to because you're a member and you're paying your dues. But if you want to contribute extra on top of that, then they would potentially give you access to more things. Maybe, one of the players or NPCs kind of takes notice, like, hey, you seem like you need to know how to use these nifty smoke bomb things that we've been working on. Here, let me give you a few and show you how they work. And now you have this thing that not everybody knows how to do. Know how to make even. Be pretty cool. That's the sort of thing. I would imagine there has to be some amount of honor among thieves because your name, your reputation is going to get around, and if you're known for screwing over other people by using a thieves guild, you're going to probably be deposed from that thieves guild leadership very, very quickly.
The other thing I hope, and they didn't I don't think they've commented on this too, that I think would be interesting, because again, I feel like I'll sit down in a freehold and set up a farm or something. You can invest in guilds, but can someone actually invest in you? Can they come invest in your farm? And obviously you somehow have to owe them profit, but maybe a benefactor invests in you, and they also provide you protection for when you're transporting your goods. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yep, lots of little things for us to do besides just reach max level on our adventurer class.
So the other thing, ships. Are you going to be a sailor?
I'm thinking not, but it's something else to do. So maybe, and I'm an explorer. Often I find myself swimming around continents just so I can uncover the map. And I often also try to swim across as far as I possibly can of an ocean before drowning. So I imagine I'll be doing some ocean exploration too. But just the concept of it, I don't necessarily think of myself as a naval person. We'll have to see.
I hope to have a place where I can actually just, have a farm, and behind me a cliff to some sort of water, and a little boat behind me. I'm trying to think, what was it? Vanguard. They had some vague ship travel that was kind of neat at the time. It was more novelty than anything, but I don't know. It's another, again, layers, right? Layers of things that you can do to keep busy. Did we lose Diggs?
Oh, did you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can't.
Oh, I can see him.
See me?
Maybe it's just me.
Maybe it is.
Which sucks, because I'm the one doing the... Yeah.
So what were you hoping to do with Navy, the naval stuff?
Well,
you want to farm, but sometimes you want to head off.
Yeah, right.
On a ship
well, I guess taking that further, who knows what eventually I'll need on a farm. Do you need to make fertilizer? Do you have to have components? And they've said, certain nodes will have some things and not others. Is there, maybe, would you be able to get on a ship and just go to another town, pick up some goods, and come back? I'm sure there would be the risk of pirates getting me. Yeah. So you can see Diggs, because he's got a little twirly circle on my screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too. So hold on one second. I don't know if I should. Keep talking.
But that also, like I said, adds. In Vanguard, I didn't play extensively in Vanguard. I spent a fair amount of time, but there you are. I think, or it's a picture at least. For me, that would be. I'm not going to go out trying to, blow open a metropolis with cannons. Although that would be kind of cool, right? If someone built one on the sea and they could actually attack by sea as well, that'd be interesting for sieges. I wonder if you can be live the life of a pirate. All right, we're back. There we go.
Cool.
I don't know what happened there.
It's all good.
Stuff happens.
It does.
Okay,
it's
so
Skype. You can't trust Skype.
My internet's not terrible. Right. It's pretty good.
No, you can't trust Skype.
So where were we?
Rose, I would say the Ranger is probably the closest to a scout, either Ranger or Rogue.
Yeah.
But Yeah, let's continue. We were damn. Actually, I don't remember what we were talking about specifically.
Sailing,
Naval. Yeah.
Sailing,
Hmm.
naval
yes.
warfare. Naval, yeah, sailing warfare. I was mentioning it would be kind of cool to. I wonder if they'll allow you to actually siege from the shore if they're right next to the metropolis. Like, can you bombard them with artillery?
Right. They weren't sure.
Because that would be really cool.
Hmm.
Or how that would even play in. I'm still not sold exactly how a siege would work. I don't know, but
It probably depends on how close the city is to the shore.
Yeah.
So,
or even if it could be used to get supplies or people there faster somehow. I don't know.
probably, depending on where you're coming from.
So, but again, for me, having that worry of pirates again too. Although that sounds kind of interesting too. I don't know. Maybe I'll go rogue and maybe my crops all fail and I get really pissed off, so I decide to take my ship and go rob people.
Pirates make people
Where-
make navies, though.
Well, but that's the whole point of having naval progression. What? Oh no, I lost my question. So, it was related to bringing people attacking on shore. No, I don't remember what it is. It'll probably pop as soon as one of you talk.
I don't know. So let's
So, one other thing I was gonna say regarding the Kickstarter, that not only do they do a lot of good stuff, leading up to it and during, and actually having what they claim to be, gameplay done in engine, even if it's done just in the editors and not actually in a compiled build, they had people playing together. That's pretty good. It's one step away from being just absolute vaporware. So that's a good thing to be showing at this point. And deadlines and dates and stuff. They say December of 2018. I say, is that when we're seeing alpha, or like when are we actually gonna see the game really?
The game is probably not going to launch before 2020. Alpha is supposed to start in 2018, and probably December of 2018.
Yeah, that's my guess. They have estimated delivery of everything as December of 2018, but
Yeah. So,
you
but
know,
that's for
deadline
that's for
slide.
alpha. Yeah.
No, that's for all levels.
No, that's for alpha to start.
Oh,
That
December
means that
2018.
we get all that stuff at alpha.
Ah, well,
I must
that'll
have
be nice.
misread. I thought they were going to do the friends and family something towards the end of this year,
And
right?
that's right. Hmm. Yep.
Hey, I'm a friend. I might be family too. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
We can do some genetic testing. I'm happy to. I'm just saying, I'll pay you to be a family member. Why not? No, the ship thing, I was just talking about Vanguard. I didn't really actually, I don't even know if combat was allowed. But it was really one of the first, because you have to remember up to that, I don't know how many, if any, MMORPGs had ships in up until that point. So it was really the first one.
Ultima Online.
Did they?
Oh yeah, ships were the best, because if you pickpocketed somebody's key and then took their ship, it's yours. Like there's
That's
nothing
true.
they can do about it at that point. You've
You
taken their
own
ship. They
That
can't
would
use the
suck.
spell to redeed their ship and take it with them, because you've taken it. So that was what I
Wasn't that
did.
ISO view?
Yeah, it was. It was an MMO though. It was pretty fun.
Because with,
Had a-
if I remember right, with Vanguard, it was just basically, you went from your third person, jumped in your ship, and then you're sort of maneuvering a ship around. There was, at least my experience, I don't know what they added later, but there wasn't a lot of combat associated with it. But even here, I mean, will they allow combat out on the ocean? Like, how will you be able to sink another person's ship or not?
Right. Or is it more like deck to deck combat?
Yeah. Um, Again, can you invest in a shipping fleet, right? So I'm gonna travel. Instead of a caravan, can I take a ship route and deliver my goods through these big massive ships, and maybe have a small journey after you get to the port, but can I take that as a way to avoid some overland bandits?
Yeah, pirates instead of bandits.
Yeah, it almost feels like they would have to do that just to keep that balance of giving someone that role to fill. Otherwise, people will just, if you're allowed to transport anything, and again, I don't even know if we're allowed to transport on ships or not, but if they don't somehow make it easy for bandit or pirates to come in, that would be what I do. Just to hell with all these bandits. I'm just going to go the ocean route.
Well, I would imagine you have to be able to transport things on ships. Otherwise, the only ship anybody's ever going to need is a one-person ship, and the only time you'd ever need anything bigger than that is if you're bringing more people with you, or if you're, I don't know, if it has weapons on it or something that you can use. But it just doesn't, it doesn't make sense that you wouldn't be able to use it for some amount of transport or storage of things. That's kind of what boats are for. It's your home away from home, or if you live on your boat and you own your boat, it's your home. That's where you live. So I definitely imagine you have to have some amount of not only that, but I have to imagine there's going to even be some amount of customization and decor and stuff that you'll be able to add and furnish it and all that sort of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. And skins.
Yep, skins.
With that, they had mentioned expanded underwater areas too. I don't know what that means. Like, are you actually going to be able to find lost, towns or civilizations, or how do you even get down there to do it? Does someone have an enduring breath spell, or do you have to have a potion, or?
Probably definitely.
I guess there was a mount, right? What was the mount
Yeah.
that?
Well, the mount probably won't give you the ability to breathe, and it's the
Tide Snapper.
exclusive Tide Snapper mount, and it's just the skin for the aquatic mount. So you'll have to probably figure out breathing. Now, I would imagine, depending on how much the magic-based technology exists in the game, it could very well be that there's just a tube with a crystal that generates magical oxygen that you're just huffing off of, and that's how you breathe underwater, and that is just a piece of equipment. Conch shell helmet, yeah. Whatever it is, I would imagine there's some means that would make it that you are meant to explore the water. Now, I would imagine they could have some amount of specificity. You have to have certain type of equipment, maybe weight limitations. Maybe there's certain stuff you don't want to bring underwater because it'll get damaged quicker. But yeah, I would imagine it's probably going to be an interesting sort of thing. They'll actually have a reasonable amount of content, especially if that's what your character is specializing in. If someone's going to be all about like deep sea exploration, I would imagine they would want to have at least enough content to satisfy those folks.
Well, what's going to be out there? What's going to be worth the journey, right? Because I don't know how y'all feel about most games when I play and I have an underwater area. I hate it. Just the controls feel off and it just feels weird. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's a quirk. I don't know. Maybe they'll let us have submarines. No? Is that too much?
Yeah.
Right, and I was going to say, I think maybe that will be a thing with scientific
That's true.
nodes. Maybe they'll do submarines instead of. Maybe that's where we'll get those from.
I don't know how I feel about that in a high fantasy setting. I would rather have to have a spell. I can't imagine.
We've
They
got a
won't.
scientific
Yeah.
node, so we're gonna have science.
I don't know. Yeah.
And primarily because the world we're coming from, that we're returning from, had no magic. So
Okay. Well, here's one. What if it's that you have to have a temple to a water god erected somewhere in some coastal city where you go and get a blessing, and for some period of time you can breathe underwater, move underwater, and all of that stuff. That would make sense because then you have to not only help establish that structure to begin with, but then you would have to make sure it gets maintained and doesn't get damaged or destroyed. Otherwise, well, your blessing's going to run out, and any business you have down there is going to run out real quickly too.
yeah, I think that will be one avenue. I think definitely a blessing will be one avenue. We'll have to see.
So
But the science is supposed to be crafting, technically, so they'll just craft something.
Diving helmets.
So there's something I have to ask. We all saw the footage. That is game footage, right? Neuro, you mentioned they showed that, playing with other people. That's not just CGI, right? Like we've
No,
seen before.
they're. It looks like they are actually playing together. But the thing that I was saying is, I don't know if that's actually in a standalone compiled build that they're running from their desktop, or if they're all running that from the editor in a very specialized environment specifically designed for that demo and other multiplayer test purposes. I would imagine they probably have a multiplayer test bed so the people that are working on that specific part of the game can be working on that modularly and not be meddling around with any of the other code. And then once they've got things that work, they have the rest of the team log in on that client, test it out, or log in on that that version of the the where they're at in the editor or whatever scene it is, and be able to join in. That definitely makes sense to me. But then that would be one of the multiple development environments, and somewhere down the road, it'll get merged into the main code base, and then what they're working on separately is different stuff. So that'll be pretty fun to see how it actually works if they want to reveal any of that stuff. But it's probably only somebody that works in game production, that sort of stuff, that would really care about that. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, it's details, whatever, just make the game.
Well, I will say that I think that's one thing that they did well with their Kickstarter. I mean, definitely is showing the footage, and then they showed more. Right, they showed little bits more each kind of week, and each time they went along.
Yeah.
And it sort of capped out with, "Hey, look, we can actually play together too." Now, I will say that the last show I watched, when they were playing together and they showed that quest, that what was it? Go get 10 or 8 something. The chat just went.
The Forest Guardian meat.
The chat was just like, "What in the hell is this?"
Oh, they had to get bear butts?
Something.
Basically.
It was just
Yeah,
sort of...
those are deer, so they had to go out and kill 8 deer, which are called Forest Guardians, and bring back the meat. And that was not a good...
People were not having it, and I guess that gets into showing too much, because I hope... Because the chat just lit up. It was like, really? What is this? This is what we've done before, so you're going to give us all this beautiful world, and then it's just the same gameplay.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Woohoo! Killed that.
I am guessing it's either a test quest that they're just doing to make sure the system works, or B, you would go to a message board and the message board says, "Hey, these are things that we need killed and where we need the parts delivered from those kills." And it's like, "Oh crap, I'm gonna sign up for this one." But instead of having the interface set up like that, it's however they got it. I'm sure they'll figure it out. I know they know that it's not going to be satisfying for us to be doing kill 10 rats, collect 10 bear butts, whatever.
I still
deliver this love letter of which you don't know the contents or the story or the background. You're just told to do it and paid for doing it. And you don't get any story for it. That's none of that crap. They know.
I still want them to let us create our own quests, but they are going to be doing that for guilds, right? You'll have guild-specific quests.
I think so.
Did I remember that right? I think. Anyways.
There's going to be stuff that we're going to need done, so we're going to be asking people to help us do it or do it for us in any case. I don't think we have to come up with these elaborately
Yeah.
written quests. We're going to have tasks for people to do. We can
And
ask people to
again,
do them.
I think that's very much akin to the contract system in Eve. And because we have Eve, we already have a test bed, so we already know you don't allow somebody to make a contract that expires 1 second after the person accepts it with a high, liability payout. So the person accepts, and then they have to pay out, 10 million in insurance. That was the deposit to take the mission because you totally screwed them and fleeced them for like 500 crap resource.
Well, Diggs, you have a question there that you probably in chat can answer better than I can.
Yeah, we should think about doing questions at the end.
Yeah.
And I was thinking maybe we could each, I forgot about it, but we should think about each coming up with a question for the devs. Maybe if they're watching sometime, they'll answer. But yes, Stoneglade, he used to watch us when we were doing EverQuest Next Theory Forges. And he's asking about summoners. So one thing that Steven mentioned in Discord is that high-level summoners will be able to group together and summon like a huge golem that you could send against a castle or a city during a siege. So it looks like we will be getting group spells and group abilities once we hit max level, or I don't know, it could be throughout the leveling process. But I love the idea that we'll be able to.
I hope it's sooner than that. Like just the idea of as a way to train up your apprentices quicker, as well as get your equipment made faster. You've only got 5 forges, but you've got 30 dudes, so you have people doubling, tripling, quadrupling up. You've got 4 people banging away on one sword. That sort of stuff. I'd really like to see. And it's something that I'd suggested in the past, and something that I know another game is going to try to do. The idea that you'd be able to just keep your character sitting in the guild hall, like whether you're online or offline, if you're not actually there, that they'll just accept any requests. It's like, hey, I need you to help me make this thing. It's like, oh, okay, bang it out a little, get a little skill up from it, get a little piece of the money from it, whatever other benefits, autonomously, just because you were there and help it out. I'd really like to see them do something like that with this. It's not as complex as the other game was saying, where it's like you can set your whole like day-night Shenmue cycle or whatever, but just something like that. Park yourself in the guild hall, you're automatically helping out with stuff. I think that would be great.
Or in your freehold.
Yeah.
As long
wherever.
As I don't know, it's kind of weird. Maybe guild hall seems better.
Guild hall makes more sense.
I guess people would be upset. Yeah, people would be upset if they could find you on your freehold but not kill you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
I really hope things like that, especially if they can't, if clearly a big part of their use is going to be during sieges. I really hope it's not, quote, max level, end quote, abilities, because to me, if you're going to siege a metropolis, you should somehow allow for everyone, I would hope, to participate, because it's such a grand event.
Yeah, but that's just a difference. That's just a group spell instead of a single summoner spell. So that's the only difference. Of course, you're going to be able to, masses of people are going to be at the siege. It's just saying that classes will be able to pool their abilities together and do something big. But I think what they called it was like an ultimate. Would be like an ultimate power. Once you have a whole group of the same class concentrated on the same effort.
Yeah.
Neat.
Wonder how else that would be applied besides just golems.
Well,
tanks,
I mean, like
if you've got 10 tanks together, they can make a human triangle and then climb up to siege a place.
Yeah.
But I would love, what I've been saying is I want to see tasks for 2 or 3 mages have to pool their powers together in order to unlock an arcane lock, or 2 or 3 rogues have to pool their resources because that trap is just too complicated for one person to do. So you have to have at least 2 rogues going in to disarm a trap or unlock a mundane door, something like that. Or you need 2 tanks that have the strength to bust down a door. Stuff like that. I'm hoping we'll see, so that we aren't so stuck on the Trinity, that we have reasons to have other group formations needed in order to get stuff done. Maybe you need 2 clerics to kill to get rid of a plague, stuff like that.
I mean, that just makes me think of times that I've gone single class in old school RPGs. There was a D&D game that I went 4 half giant warriors. It was a pretty badass crew. Just Final Fantasy 1, go with 4 fighters, you're pretty much going to be invincible.
Have they said how big groups will be?
8.
That's
8 players.
So essentially the size of a raid in World of Warcraft. Well, Flex Raid.
Mm-hmm.
That's how small raids are these days? My God. I remember there was a 40, and then there was a 20, and it's like, 20, really? And
well, that's the minimum raid, right? For 2 groups.
Yeah, they have a flex system now. But essentially that's what that is. So that's interesting. I like that. I like how that will allow for very interesting groups. You don't have to rely on just the Trinity that you're used to. That's cool. That'll make it a whole lot harder to multi-box a group too.
If you're doing a full group, so I don't know if everything is
expensive. That'll make it expensive.
I don't know if all of the obstacles for a dungeon has to be max group, but we'll see. I'm kind of hoping that you can just send in waves. Like maybe you send in your wave of rogues, and all they do is disarm all the traps, and then later the fighting folk can come in and try and kill everything. But the rogues have done their job and left.
Well, and you also have the opportunity to bring in, I guess, harvesters or crafters, people that can come in to a dungeon or a cave somewhere, and I guess extract ore better than the rest of the people. So as a guild going in, without having to sacrifice some other spot.
Right.
8's just.
I'm hoping we'll see crafters come in afterwards and do repairs.
Just such an odd number, 8.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's 8 classes.
One of each class, yeah.
Still, it's just. Anyways, so.
Well, that's fine. I mean, they don't want it to be too big, but at the same time, maybe they feel like 5 is just a little too limiting.
They do want to have utility, so non-combat stuff to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, 8 was the raid in DCUO, which is double the normal party size, and kind of felt right for that because they were a little bit of a break from the Trinity. There were definitely people doing certain roles, but a lot of everybody doing approximately everything all the time, regardless of that. So, it definitely kind of broke things a little bit there, and was. It was nice in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
So will they have group harvesting skills?
I hope so.
I hope so.
Do you yield more? I mean, that'd be interesting too.
They did that with landmarks, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Did that improve your harvest in
Mm-hmm.
landmark?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'd be nice if there was maybe some surveying skills. You have one person that's, specifically observing the area and looking where the better spots are. Some people that are more specific to just the mineral or extraction. Maybe there's folks that they're better about identifying like the higher quality ore from the lower quality ore, so they know which ones are going to be such junk that it's not worth not worth dealing with, or maybe that they want to further refine it and break it down to, just the parts they really want off of it and chuck the rest. So yeah, I could see a lot of opportunity for group infrastructure as a way to maximize efficiency, maximize quality of harvests and yields and such. And that probably everyone on the team would be able to do all the things, just with specificity being a goal. One person can get a lot better at one thing than everybody trying to all get that good at everything all at once.
So like Star Wars Galaxy type thing, but as a group.
Yeah.
Basically.
Or there's other things definitely. Anything with plants, trees, mushrooms. Like the more eyes you have, being able to just find the things in general. The quality of the harvesting. If you have enough people, you might even be like, all right, we're going to take most of them, but we're going to find like the 5 best plants, and we're going to put them on this little cart I brought with me in pots, and we're going to bring them back to our farm, and we'll start growing some. Like that's the sort of thing I would imagine you do as a group and not alone.
So have they said, as far as harvestables, whether there will be quality differences? Have they
I don't know.
I mean, I hope there
haven't
is.
heard them say that, but
I don't know if
imagine,
it's quality, and I don't know if that's like, higher quality or lower quality, like a greater or lesser, or if it's more of a freshness state, like ripe or moldy or underripe, whatever, just been picked. Various different states like that, if that's part of how the quality is assessed, or if it's full on Star Wars Galaxies, where all of this type of plant in this valley will always have pretty much this stat, but it changes a little bit every season or something like that. That would be pretty cool.
I hope they do, because then
seasonal changes.
Yeah. And I would assume that will be in there too. I mean, I don't know why they would put so much effort into the climate if they weren't also going to affect the world. Because the last video too, I thought was pretty cool, was the when he was walking along. I guess during the summertime would be a stream, and here it was frozen. That was pretty cool. That I hope, who I've so far, at least their plans as Chronicles of Valyria, they have a system with climate that is very similar. But what they promise to do, I think, is even like at snowfall, the snow that actually adds up and builds and builds and builds, that sort of thing. I'd love to see that in Ashes of Creation. But that video, that I was more interested in that part, I think, than the entire rest of that video. But I hope, because especially being interested in farming or maybe animal husbandry, that they do allow for some sort of quality differences. Again, if you're trying to make an entirely player-driven economy, I would think they would have to, because you would want to be able to show differences between individuals. I would hope, and pretty in depth.
Right, botany. How does botany fit in, and is that similar to breeding with animal husbandry?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
Yeah, I would hope there would be a way to distinguish between someone who's just, people who are max level, because everyone eventually will get to a certain level the longer they play, but how did their skills in each category change with that? So
there's also one of the interesting things that they said with that video was that once you get the meat from the forest guardian, I forget what they said the stat was. I don't know if it was health, but it has some kind of stat value. Anything made with that meat, and they said you could take it home and experiment to see what you'll get out of it. So nice. The experimentation factor is kind of interesting too. What kind of recipe can you make?
I wonder if it's kind of predictable, or if it's going to be more like weird and random feeling, like the stuff in Elder Scrolls series, where it's like, I don't know why putting this and this together made it poison that made me explode, and why this and this and this together was, it made me levitate for 10 seconds or something. Well, hey, whatever. Potions are weird.
Well, we're starting to run
So-
out of time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if either of you have anything final to talk about, anything that comes to mind.
No, I forgot to prepare a question for this time in our show. So I don't have anything else that I had wanted to talk about today. There's going to be lots of stuff, lots and lots and lots of stuff. So
Sunglade was saying something about summoners on each side get together to summon a large golem, send into battle, and then they can also
yeah,
send
that's
their
the one I answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I
okay.
answered.
Right, okay, gotcha. Just want to make sure we covered that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess for me, if I had to ask the devs a question as it relates to Kickstarter, I want to know who came up with their Kickstarter, because they did an absolutely wondrous job. I'm just curious who has the background, who thought of these things. This was something I thought was kind of new, and it's why I think they had so many for their lifetime subs. That usually you have your early bird and then it ends, and it's like they just go straight to whatever the regular price was. I think that one tier alone had like 7 early birds. So I don't know if that was planned or not, but that was brilliant. So,
Yeah.
anyways, that would be, I would be curious who did that. So, because
If you're watching.
yes. So anyways, I guess that is about all for episode 3 here. We will be back in 2 weeks. And
Yep.
I don't know what we're talking about yet, but I'm sure it'll be interesting, whatever we do.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
Yes, we have a lot to cover. I do think they'll slow down now that Kickstarter's over. But, well, maybe not. If they're going to be open for June, there might be a little bit more in the next few weeks. But there was certainly plenty that came out the last 4 weeks to talk about. So, all right. Well, everyone, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
See you later.